So hello and welcome to an inside view and welcome Bruno.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Christian.
So great to have you with us today. So why don't you start off with just telling us a little bit about yourself?
So, my name is Bruno. I'm 37 years old already. Gosh. Um, I People usually define themselves where you're from. I have difficulty defining myself with that. So, I am of Croatian Slovenian origin. Have lived all throughout the globe. I currently have a house. I reside part of my time here in Como, um, next to Christian. But I've always been really in my suitcase, so I consider myself a born and bred globetrotter. Um, I work as a marketing consultant, previously in big corporations. Now I'm focusing on small clients. And yeah, this is me. I'm married. I have no children. Been happily married for 6 years now. And what else can I say? I'd love to have a pet, but I can't because we travel too much. And that's it,
Okay.
basically.
Okay. All right. So you're a globetrotter. You're a citizen of the world. And
Yeah.
I think that it would be interesting for people to hear how in this globetrotter moving around, how you found us, and then what is it that you actually do with us? Like, what do you make use of, and why?
So finding you was a funny story. At the time, I was living in Switzerland, and I had a common friend that lives here, and we were chatting about. I was living in Switzerland, but I was working in Moscow. And so one of the weekends when I was back home, we were discussing about what you do in your free time. And at the time in Moscow, I really got involved with yoga. It's been in my life basically since my college years, but it was always kind of like a try it and then not buy it, and then only at the age of 32, 33 have I really rediscovered myself in the practice. And as we were discussing this with this friend in Como, she said, well, when you're in Como, I have to have you meet a friend of mine, and you'll be just blasted away by what we do there. And that was in 2017 or 16. And so 3 years had passed, and then in 2019, I moved to Como, and I said, okay, I have to resume the practice some way. So I found you through the prism of trying to find a new yoga home, if you will. But the moment I entered the studio, I understood that that was not what it was about, and I was
Mm.
actually glad that life kind of delivered an upgrade. I was thinking of that. I was something I needed something, but then life threw something else at me, which usually what happens. Like uh, give me not what I want, but what I need. So I think you can apply that to any religion or non-religion, and this is how my love affair with the space started. Probably because I had a background in a very formulated, very rigid type of practice, because I was a big hot yoga slash power yoga passionate. I was able to see immediately the differences of what we were doing at the space, because I was kind of looking at it through an analogy, and I immediately understood that, whoa, we're into something different here. And I remember my first kind of, not to talk about abstract terms, I remember one practice that we did together, and I realized it was all about, people were like, oh, it's trying to keep fit, and yoga is about, being fit in your body and this and that. And it was an hour and a half, an hour and a quarter, where basically through being still, you made us sweat our asses off. I don't know if you remember this time. It was
I
one of the
do.
early
I
2019.
do.
And it was just such an amazing revelation because, you know, practicing has always been kind of associated with working really intensely and feeling your muscles and stuff like that. And in that moment, I realized how much power there is to being still. And I just I came home that night knackered, I remember. I was, but it was just, it was a confirmation. I didn't really need a confirmation. I'm just sharing this to give a concrete idea about how more in-depth and holistic the practice with the space, body, mind is. Probably because at that time it was nuggets of what we're doing now, but keeping still, it requires a lot of mental effort as well. So it isn't just a physical practice, especially for a person like me, where I have trouble keeping my mind still, and it's always buzzing somewhere. And so probably half of that knackeredness was also due to the fact that it's as much training your thoughts as it is training your physical self and your experience around it. So that to me was like, okay, we're onto something new, something deep here.
And so what's made you want to stick with it? I mean, you're a very busy man and you have a lot going on in your life. What keeps you bringing yourself back to it?
Probably the reason why I stick to it, because I never ask myself, why am I sticking to it? It's just, I don't know how.
What do you get from it? There must be some sort of added value, or why would it be continuative?
Well, to me, it's because it's always a discovery of something new. One of the things that I love working and practicing and just discovering with the space is the fact that every single time there is something new on the plate, and it's making you really understand that like working and growing, it's a never-ending story with you, and you can go and do it as much as you want, and it can never stop. That's one thing. And second thing, I honestly believe that regularity is really what brings the deepest impact, both in terms of your mind and your body. So probably because I'm that kind of guy. When I commit to something, I just go with it. I don't analyze or overanalyze specific or isolated events. To me, working with the space is a continuous journey, and you know it because we've discussed it before. I generally don't tend to put a mark to how a practice was, because to me it's a sequence of things. So, and this is it. Like even now, with retrospectively looking at it, the reason why I'm not stopping is because every time I look back and I look at myself now, I always see that there is a nugget of progress. There is a nugget of going into that direction where I visualize myself in terms of my serenity and my inner peace. So it's kind of helping me in building this life. I'm not even talking about myself, but it's really about the life and the life around me. And it's become an integral part of my life, as much as work has, or eating has, or anything else. So yeah, that's why I stick to it, because, same as you have to eat, it's,
it's become an essential.
It has. Yeah, it has. Yeah, it really has.
So we offer so many different types of services and access. So what is it that you use mostly, and why?
I use I use the body mind practice. They are based on yogic principles, but it's just, I would say, a small piece of it. I've done one session, a special session, if I recall well, it was re-entry after lockdown, I wish I would have done more. And this is one of my pre-New Year revelations, that I want to do more. But still, you know, this is one of the things that I really wanted to put forward to everyone is, when you look at the services that the Space Body Mind Consulting does, the way I look at it, it's not like a scale of where you start and, you know, there's a progress of things.
Right.
I like to see them all in a linear and all equal, because at any given moment in your time, you might be needing a different type of stimulus. At the end of the day, the work or the effect or the results points at the same direction. What I think the services differ in is how you get to that. Right now, I feel that I'm in a moment in my life where I'm pretty much okay in terms of accessing the mind, but I tend to dislocate from my own physical self. And that's because my work is highly intellectual and it requires a lot of brain practice. So the brain gets tired, and I know how to put it back into shape. But what I tend to forget about is my physical self and feeling in symphony with my body part of my body mind. And so practicing the body mind sessions allows me to get to my mind, but reactivating my body as well, which I tend to forget about. Probably that will change in the future if anything, you know, changes with my life. But right now, I really love it because it's my constant in getting to pinch myself back again. And now more than ever, I think that many people across the globe who have previously experienced a dynamic work environment, even if it means like commuting to work, yeah, you get to the metro,
Sure.
you assimilate all that hectic energy, whatever, but you're still moving around. And now many of us are sitting and spending time in front of computers more than we did before, interacting less with the outside world, interacting less with our own selves, with, you know, touching people and finding your space in the physical world. That I think for me, it's kind of my safe haven, and at the same time a way to, you know, measure my temperature 3 times a week. And I've been really grateful for that. I think if it hadn't been for this, I would probably really go physically crazy. I would say.
Would you mind, just to like backpack on that, share, would you mind speaking to, you know, you already said, you know, you found us and you came to the physical space, which is no longer in existence, right? And then so you experience that, and then there was this transition through the pandemic to going fully online. And how has that been for you?
Good, surprisingly well. I must say that I haven't, when it comes to my work with the Space Body Mind, I haven't felt one single inch of difference in terms of the fullness of the program, the fullness of the practice. This goes to you, kudos, as they say, because it requires a lot of, I assume, I haven't done it, so I'm just putting myself in your shoes, but it requires a lot of preparation and a lot of empathy in trying to understand and how to deliver a practice across a Zoom session. And to me, it hasn't changed. I must say, as long as you have a good mat and a good space where you can, you know, carve out some space for yourself. No, I'll be completely honest. Yes, you know, the chit chatter before the physical practice and the after. But then again, the chit chatter is before the practice is there as well. And on Zoom sessions, right? If you have the time and the luxury and you can connect before, there's always people that it's just like chatting in the, you know, in the locker room before you start a practice. So no. And honestly, one interesting thing that I was just discussing with my husband the other day, even when you practice on your own at home, the fact that you reconnect, the fact that when we start a practice, there's always an intention. It starts with a discussion, with a discovery that we do together with you. And because we all kind of exchange, everyone who's present, it really feels like you're practicing with people at home. Like I think I've only met 1 or 2 people live from the people that we practice with, but with all the others, I have a feeling that like we've practiced before in our lives, you know, in a studio. We've been to a dinner together, and
Yeah.
so yes, it's magical almost how much you can transcend this need to be physical. I'm not trying to compare them. I'm just, you know, I'm trying to say that if you accept that there are current limitations right now to the world, and it happens, hey, every 80 years we have to live through it, statistically speaking, it's, I would say, the best I can get out of it, really. And whoever is kind of, you know, has been reluctant and says, I don't think that I can get the most out of it because it's not the same as practicing physically. It's not the same. It's not supposed to be the same. It's different, but it's no less valuable, no less fulfilling, actually. And to put it on a funny note, at least you have the luxury when you practice via Zoom that you're on mute. So when you want to send someone to hell, you can do it. Like, yeah, you know that sometimes like you're not in the mood and you're doing a type of practice and it's like, oh, I can't swear because it's YouTube. But yeah, you can do it. You know, there's pros and cons to it. And yeah,
or even having the access, like you're on vacation or you're traveling for work and
True.
You can Zoom in from wherever you are rather than having to be physically present, or your meeting's running late and you don't have to get in the car or across town. Yeah. Or on an airplane.
I spent 2 months this month in the south of Italy with my in-laws, and you know, I packed my mats, I packed my blocks, and I just knew that. And yeah, that's also one of the interesting things, like especially for people like me, the fact that we can do it online, even in different time zones, I can do it recorded. It kind of brings a certain regularity to my routine, to my life, even if the physical space changes all the time. So even when I was down in the south of Italy for 2 months, and you're not in the comfort of your own home, and but meeting on the 3 times a week and seeing the familiar faces and practicing together and working together, it just brings that cozy feeling back into your world, and it's amazing.
All right, so for somebody who's never experienced a body mind session or working with the body mind, and they may be curious but they're hesitant, or they put it in the box of something they think they already know, what would you say to them?
You're wrong. No, what I would say is that the reason, I can speak from experience here, purely empirical, the reason why we usually try to bucket and put into brackets or shelve certain things is that we want to give a label to a single experience that we have. And so people say, oh, it's kind of similar to this. I've tried it, but it's not for me. Or I don't know what it is and I don't want to try it. What I'm trying to say is that this is, and I think I've said it before, this is a lifestyle. This is a integral part of your life. The only way you can put pluses and minuses to it is if you conceive yourself putting yourself on an adventure or on a journey for some time. It's not 2021 where we are all used to immediate effect, click and get it and so on. It takes time to mature. You could say it's an acquired taste. And this is the only way you can really discover the benefits. That I was able to discover the benefits for myself was not committing to a singular experience, but committing to carving time in my life to it, which means doing it on a regular basis. And I can tell you that ever since I reignited this, and it's been 8 months now, maybe, that I've really been doing it on a regular basis, only now can I see what it does to me and to my life, and the balance that it brings, and the mindfulness that it brings, and it transcends the practice itself. It goes into work, it goes into relationships, it goes into your own relationship with yourself. So this is what I would like to set out as an appeal to everyone, is same as eating, same as breathing. It's not something that you can, brackets and say, I've tried it once, it doesn't work. I mean, what have you been expecting at the end? There is no panacea. It's not like an epidural shot. It takes time to kind of develop, right? And so, yeah, this is what I would like to share with everyone. And I think people, because I think people more often than not, they make a mistake into thinking, this is yoga, or this isn't this, or this isn't that, or this isn't for me because I like to open up. You don't have to open up if you don't want to. And one other thing that we laugh about, but I think it's becoming my signature line, is that I don't believe when everyone says, oh, I feel so blessed and so relaxed every time afterwards. BS. Again, I can't swear because of YouTube. It's not supposed to be that. Like, even after, like, there's been several times where after a practice, I just want to shout, and there's this anger that comes out, and I want to file for divorce, whatever. But that's good. That's the point. Like, obviously there has been something channeling inside, and it's kind of coming out. And yes, so I don't believe when everyone is like, oh, I do the practice and then I feel so relaxed and so zen. I do sometimes I don't. It's like life, right? But what this kind of practice helps you is to be aware of what's happening inside, because often it comes on the surface. Want it or not, you trigger a knot either in your head or in your body where something has been channeling, and it would be wrong to fake it to yourself and say, oh, I feel so zen after it. No, when I want to shout, I just want to shout. It means that it has to come out, and it's good. And so, yeah, this is another, I think, pearl of wisdom that I want to share with the people out there, is that, don't put all these brackets to like, I should feel like this and that. You feel however you should feel afterwards.
Right.
And that's a good thing. If you want to swear and shout out to the world, do it, because this is what's supposed to get out, right? And this is the point of the practice, is to become aware of what's inside. Often we're like, oh no, I feel great. I myself, I'm like that, like, oh, it's a great day. I've been having a great week at work and everything. And then after a practice, I just feel all of this volcano erupting. And I'm like, where did all of this come from? Because I've been telling myself that I'm in a good place, where clearly I've been putting myself in a good place by kind of, putting bad stuff away and not being, not kind of processing it. And so it's a good way. It's a good cleanser, I think. Really good cleanser.
So what made you want to agree to have this conversation today? Why did you want to share your experiences?
Well, because you and me have had conversations endless on this, and I just felt I really felt ready, and I wanted to share a different perspective with the people out there. I know that some of the things that I've said might not kind of fit into the idea of what it should be, or what it is, or what it's not. But I think it's good that we speak about it openly, and that people are, out there are able to understand what this is or what this isn't. And I wanted to share a different perspective to all the people who are trying to put it into a bracket. And yeah, it's a personal experience, but I'm pretty sure that there's many people like me out there who can relate to that, especially when it comes to yes, we shouldn't be speaking in binary and all of that, but there are many, career-driven men or women who are kind of in that mood of like, oh, that's not for me. It's not. Give it a chance. Try it out, but don't try one thing. Just give yourself a chance across a few months to discover yourself and see what that works for you. Often people tend to, and I was in the same position where I kind of put like a special stigma on this kind of practice, where this is like, oh, that's for all those Zen people, and let's light incense candles and stuff like that and pray and whatnot. It's not that way. It has zero religious connotations. If that's, and that, I know it's showstopper for some people, yeah, because they kind of like associate. And it's really getting to know your own temple, if you will, your own self, whichever way that works for you. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing for me. So yeah, I think.
Yeah, cool. That was clear. Thank you. All right. So I know because you've shared with me that you've watched some other episodes, so you won't be taken off guard by this. But as I think it's important, since you've been willing to share and answer questions that were not given to you ahead of time, that you have an opportunity to ask me a question.
What could I ask you? I wasn't prepared for this one. Well, I have to die. I don't know. I wasn't prepared for this one.
That's okay. You don't have to have a question.
I have to, well, there's so many things I wanted to ask, but I'm trying to.
Is there a curiosity you have, or a something that you think in asking me will be brought forth, perhaps?
More than asking, it's a question I wanted to ask you is, in the upcoming time, months, I don't know, days, weeks, whatever, would you envisage, for instance, in our practice, in our body mind practice, like selecting a specific theme and running with it for like a longer period? You know how like we do special sessions, we have like 4 weekly, like 4 sessions across 4 weeks, and there's a specific theme that we approach. And with body mind, it's kind of like small nuggets of it, and we kind of touch things, different things every time. Would you envisage like taking a theme and carrying with it throughout a month? Have I explained myself?
Yeah, you have. I think in the special session series, that's exactly what happens. Okay. That's exactly what happens. But one thing that I think I'm known a little bit for, but this is also a way to get yourself known for those who don't, is I don't have a picture in my mind of the way things should look or how they should unfold. And I'm very open to requests and suggestions and ideas, because I think that as the space body mind consulting has evolved, it's been a very natural, unplanned process. And even the birth of the special session series was not my idea. It came from other people who have participated in our offerings. And even when we added the recorded live sessions, it was like, well, we'll offer it. Who knows if people will be interested and make use of it? Because the same with video on demand. I mean, I even remember when the intensive Free to Breathe was born. I mean, offering something for the first time that's never existed before. How do you even bring that to people and get them interested in trying it on, right? So
yeah.
Did that answer your question?
It did. It did. I want to explain where it comes from, because after the practice, you know, certain things speak to you, certain things don't. But sometimes there's like, and excuse me for the very bad analogy, it's like a virus that gets into your head after a specific thing, maybe because it resonated with you, and you would like to, I would like to kind of work on it further on. Explore it further. So I'm just trying to understand what's the best way, whether we should go on and start working on it one-to-one, or you know, put it forward as an idea to you to create a special session. Although but yeah, it happens like on every 3 or 4 practices where there's an idea that I kind of, when we finish our session, I kind of feel like, okay, I've grasped it, but I want more.
Right.
And
right. You want to go,
I don't have, yes, and I don't have the tools or the discipline to do it on my own.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to discover what's the best way for me to move after that.
Yeah.
Probably reach out to you, and we can work.
I think the best way is to reach out, share what it is you're interested in. If something already exists, to support you in a group setting or an individual setting. And if it's a new idea that doesn't exist, then I go about seeing how I can develop it.
Yeah. I was really like, the last time I remember we were discussing, one of the things that we worked on was the river between chaos and rigidity. And it's just one of those things where you kind of feel it. And after we finished our session, I kind of started getting the idea, the gist of what it was, but I wasn't quite fully there. And it's just one of those things where you feel like, okay, I really want to explore this further. Now, I mean, it would be obnoxious to say, hey, Christian, create a special session for the whole world because I want it. So it was just a question, like an open question to you.
I would say that there's a pretty big probability that if it awakens something in you, it was like you got a bite-sized morsel, and then you were like, oh, I want more, right?
Yeah.
If it awakened in you, there's probably more people out there that it would resonate with. And you know, with the work you do, you have a pulse pretty much on what's resonating with the world in general. So the probability is pretty big, but you know.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And, you know, as we develop this new expression of ours and create new seasons with different themes, I hope you'll be willing to come back.
Thank you. I can't wait. It's been really nice experience, and I can't wait to see myself on YouTube.
Thank you, Bruno.
Love you. Bye.